So there's some Christmas songs that are my favorite. One of my all-time favorites is "Mary Did You Know." Absolutely love that song. Every time Mike Robinson sings it up here, I just want to grab him, put him in a bottle. Sorry, Mike. And just put them on the shelf and shake it up every time I want to hear that song, you know, which would be often. So it's probably good that I can't do that to him. It's just such a beautiful song, and I think captures the fears and the uncertainties of Mary, and the fears and uncertainties in all parents. When you give birth to a child, you can't possibly know what lays ahead. You have your hopes, your expectations, your fears, but you can't possibly know what lays ahead. The other day, I was just listening to the radio, or no, it was actually yesterday at Maureen's Christmas concert at school. I heard they did Silver Bells, and as I was listening to it, I realized that's one of my favorite Christmas songs. Just love it, just the sound of it, the feel of it. But one of my all-time favorite songs, and I didn't necessarily know it was until this year as I'm listening to it, it just became clear to me that this is really one of the songs that I cherish hearing year in and year out. And that happens to be one of the songs we sang tonight, which is "What Child Is This?" Because it reminds us of what the Christ child represents. The United Methodist hymnal and many popular renditions of the hymn leave out the second and the third choruses, as I said earlier. I think the United Methodist hymnal does it pretty much to keep things short and simple. You know, you run out of space, you don't want to have a 3 or 4 page song in your hymnal. So they leave those out just because it simplifies it. And I think the popular culture leaves it out because the choruses confront people with the reality of their sin, of the price Jesus paid to confront and conquer that sin. And that doesn't fit in with our culture's politically correct image of a Merry Christmas, right? You can't be talking about the crucifixion on Christmas. Are you kidding me? You can't be talking about sin on Christmas. And we live in a culture that says, how dare you tell me I have sin? Didn't you know I'm perfect? You should know it if you didn't know it, because it's all about me, right? In this culture, that's the kind of culture we live in. All you have to do is be a good person, right? You hear that all the time. All that matters is that you're a good person. The gospel tells us something a little different than that. I think Paul in Romans 3:23 say, "For no one is good, not even one. All fall short of God's glorious standard." That doesn't mean that we're all evil, which is sometimes how it gets misconstrued. It doesn't mean that we're all evil and we should be lamenting ourselves and hating ourselves. But each and every one of us falls short of perfect. We'd like to be good people, but how many of us are good people 100% of the time? The world doesn't want us to hear that, right? We're good exactly however you are. Now, I'm a Bon Jovi fan, but one of his songs is "Welcome to Wherever You Are." And the point of the song is, you know, you've made it this far, it's great how you are, just keep moving forward. Well, that may not be true for everybody. You know, if you wake up one day and you're lying on the street homeless, strung out on heroin, that may not be a welcome to wherever you are moment, right? It may be a wake up and move out of where you are to wherever God is calling you to be. But we don't like that because it sounds awfully judgmental when we put things in those terms. Now, I chose to include the original lyrics of the hymn because I think that they are ultimately the heart of Christmas. I love the words of the last chorus. "Raise, raise a song on high. The Virgin sings her lullaby. Joy, joy, for Christ is born, the babe, the Son of Mary." We can't get to that third chorus without having the second chorus, which ultimately reminds us, and let me read that to you too. Let me read the second chorus to you. Nails, spear, shall pierce him through. The cross be borne. For me, for you. Hail, hail, the Word made flesh, the babe, the Son of Mary. So raise, raise a song on high. The Virgin sings her lullaby. Joy, joy, for Christ is born, the babe, the Son of Mary. Have you ever wondered what Mary's lullaby was? When I hear songs like that, I often start drifting off into a train of thought that far. It takes me to sometimes places I don't want to be, but sometimes it causes me to think on things like this idea of Mary singing her lullaby to her baby. What was she singing to her baby as she lay there in a stable surrounded by ox and ass, hay and poop, pea, shepherds, wise men? Well, they technically didn't come for a few days. The wise men might have been nice in the stable, actually, you know. But they were too rich to live there. Have you ever wondered what Mary's lullaby would be in that situation? I mean, just imagine a pregnant woman showing up in town and nobody taking her in, but saying, you know what, the best I can do for you is the barn, you know, the barn. Which one of us would do that for a pregnant woman? It's hard to picture. It's hard to picture a pregnant woman having to lay down and give birth in the most unsanitary of places you could possibly think of. Perhaps, maybe one smidge more sanitary than the dung pile outside of the city, or, you know, I mean, this is pretty bad stuff. What could her lullaby have been? She was a 14 or so year old young woman, born into a world that saw women as property. Now, when I say a young woman, at 14 years old, hard to believe this, Miranda, but at 14 years old, how old are you now?
15.
15, you would have already been married and having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be raising a kid right now. And you wouldn't be married to the boy of your dreams. You'd be married to whoever your dad could get you to.
Oh, gosh.
And you didn't have a choice. We like to think that Mary was just madly in love with the dashing Joseph, but we don't know that A, Joseph was dashing, and B, the likeliness that she wanted to marry Joseph is slim to none. She wasn't married to Joseph because she fell in love with him, but because her parents made arrangements for her to be married to him. Boys were seen as assets in the family. Women were seen as something you had to get rid of sooner than later. And the only way that they met their worth and did the family proud was by bearing children and being a good wife. Doesn't that sound like your heart's aspiration, Miranda? Having children and being a good wife?
Sure.
Sure, whatever. She got pregnant in a time where pregnancy out of wedlock was a capital crime, which could bring about capital punishment. Now, we're not talking about lethal injection where you go to sleep and never wake up again. We're talking about being thrown into a pit and stoned to death. And like countless other Jewish peasants, she was born into a cruel, harsh world that didn't give her or her people any regard. I think if Mary were to be born today, honestly, she'd be born among the refugees who are wandering out in Europe somewhere, homeless, looking for a place to stay because of the mass genocide going on in their country. That's the kind of world that Mary was born into. That's the kind of world that she was bearing her son into. A world where survival of the fittest and oppression of the weak were the laws of the land and the only guarantees in life. A world where that would one day strip her of her only possessions, her son Jesus, who the Romans not only killed, but broke to the very core, crushing her soul along with it. And let's not forget that her son James was also martyred not all that long afterwards. Perhaps 30 years, maybe less. Yet did Mary know what soul-crushing heartache lie ahead for her child and her family? My guess is while she could not have known all of the details, just like we can't know the details, my guess is that the fear of the things that happened lay deep within her. She knew that many Jews didn't live to see their full potential, and most didn't get to enjoy their lives. She grew up in a nation that was being existentially threatened by the Romans, and in a world shrouded with uncertainty. Yet tonight, we read her ode to joy, her psalm of praise to the Lord, a psalm that looks at the great that God had done for Israel. A song that looked to the promise of God and the future that God promised to bring to her people. Her soul leapt with joy because she had joy in her heart despite the circumstances around her, despite the bitter sorrow awaiting her. We who live with so much more. I mean, thankfully, Miranda, you get to pick and choose who you date, who you eventually marry, who you have kids with, and you even get to pick and choose what you do with your life, like being a person who works in a wood shop in the lumber business like your dad. You get to pick those things. We live with so much more today than she had in her day. We who live with so much more, who have relative happiness and hope for a brighter tomorrow, can take a cue from our beloved Mary. We can know the joy that she found in her baby boy, who would grow to become the King of Kings. Because that baby boy grew to be Christ the Lord, who died but didn't stay dead. He conquered death and rose from the dead and lives in each and every one of us. That baby boy that she gave birth to, that baby boy that she brought into the world, that baby boy that she dared to say yes to conceiving, is the baby boy that lives right here within us. So if we place our faith in God, as she did, and again, I beg you to remember the circumstances in which she said yes to God under. I don't know. I would like to think that I'm so filled with faith that if God said, Todd, you shall conceive a child. Well, first off, that's scary in and of itself because I'm a guy, right? But I would like to think that if God were to say that to me, that I would be filled with so much faith that I would say, yes, Lord, let it be as you will. I am your servant. But I don't know that I would. I don't know that if I were married, I would say yes to getting pregnant out of wedlock. and having to explain that one to my parents. I don't know that I would have said yes to having to bear the shame of being pregnant out of wedlock in my community, of shaming my family, and possibly being put to death for it. But if we just place our faith in God as she did, if we lay all our hope in Jesus Christ as she did, and follow the one we venerate as she did, we will be filled with joy to our very core, no matter what this world brings against us. Because we will know that no matter what they do to us and our bodies, they will never, ever take our soul. They will never, ever crush our spirit. Because we have a Lord who lives within us that is greater than he who lives in the world. Amen? And despite any circumstances, we will be singing like Mary. Singing for joy, because we have seen and know the King of Kings, whose salvation brings. Amen. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for the lessons we learn from Mary. For in her we find a strength that we couldn't find in Samson. In her we find a strength we can't see in David. In her we find a strength that none of the prophets would have been able to bear. Mary, Lord, Mary shows us what it means to have faith. What it means to say yes to your will. What it means to risk it all so that others may live. We thank you for her example, and most importantly, thank you for your example and your presence in each and every one of us. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.